Well, I did do this research on trying to figure out how to build a farm and make money, and then I'm seeing these threads about people going out and making 20 million an hour, and I'm looking that up, and all they're doing is buying everything out of one place and selling it to another place, and eventually systems get ruined. There's no economy in the system, or it's the same thing as you watch some of these science fiction movies where these aliens are going out from planet to planet and just destroying planets, like for resources. They just go on and on and on and take up all the resources. Now, there's so many procedurally generated planets and systems in this game. You could do that, but to what end? You know, why, like, there's no purpose except for just to ravage. So I'm thinking, now, if I build stuff and turn around and sell it, what happens is the price goes down. So, in other words, I sell this item, if I can sell it. I can make the item, and then I'm able to sell it or something. I think if two people cooperated, they could, like, somehow mutually benefit. But because I don't think there's an economic structure within the game itself. I think it's actually designed to see whether or not if people will cooperate to a point of creating an economic game. Now, I could see that happening with different people, depending on who they are. I think that's probably a rare commodity. Most game players want to build sort of to win and go out and create big ships and rule the universe. Well, what if there's people that want to, instead of ravage a system, which, you know, they'll come back. I mean, the system will come back, but I don't know exactly how. Like, you can't go to every trade post. Well, I suppose you could. If you had an economic scanner, I guess you can go to every trade post, and there's not that many space stations. There's like one, or just one galactic terminal, and go to all the terminals and buy everything out. And then when the traders come in, like, there's so many spaceships, and maybe the spaceships themselves, they're procedurally generated and they have the resources. So the resources on the ships, on the AI ships, if they're procedurally generated, those resources are never going to run out. I don't know if the prices on the ships, if you go to buy them, I don't see how they could change. That's a question. So there's buy and sell from the traders on the ships, and then there's the galactic network. I think that would be more interesting to figure out than anything else in the game, and to figure that out early. But I guess in the process, I'd like to make. I would like to make this farm, even though I figured out that it's only going to make about 5 million a day. I might be able to do better. But then I was thinking, why make money? Why not grow something that grows nanites? Huh? So I was looking that up, and then I got into this Explorers Guild, And then I was trying to look up some notes and brought up some stupid text, and it kind of overlaid everything and made a mess of the stream, so I had to delete it. But it's not such a big deal because I'm going to go back over this while I'm talking about it, because I had to think exactly how I'm going to do this. So there are some products that I'm going to buy in order to start this chain, and then then I turn around and sell the item. But if I sell the item, I can only sell it once in the system. Then once it's sold, I can't sell that item in the system anymore. I gotta go travel. So, and then people will say, well, okay, so you can go back to your farm through the portals and collect all your stuff. And the ships will follow you, which is kind of strange. So you can load up your ship, and so I noticed that one of the other players in the multiplayer, he had a portal, a base, a computer, something else, I think. So he just goes around portal to portal and picking up stuff. Well, if you keep playing into the game, keep playing hours and hours and hours, eventually you're going to be sitting there waiting long periods of time, just going through this portal, collecting stuff, going back. It doesn't sound... There's a time element of sitting there doing nothing, going through this portal, where if you could figure out how to create a stable economy, then when you go to the system that buys the big stuff, you may be able to make anywhere from, you may be able to make a profit by keeping the economy stable and not having to move. The question is exactly how to do that, and maybe when I get I'm working on the science quest, and I got to a point where I had to wait for an hour to talk to the scientist again. I had 30 minutes left to wait. I logged off the multiplayer game. So when I go back, I want to see where that stands, because I was off the game. And so far, most of the quests, most of the blueprints are coming off the scientist. I'll get into that in a minute. I just gotta go over here and check something again. Yeah. Let's go back over here. Oops. Let's fix this. So I'm a little bit of a situation where I forgot. Actually, I could go look at my earlier streams. I can't remember how to see what planets have for gases in their atmosphere, and let me let's do this. We're accessing our See, there's some rarer stuff that you have to go to another planet to get, and I'm trying to figure out the happy medium of where I can stay on one planet and make everything that I need to build these quantum processors without having to go anywhere. I was thinking I could do it off of a frozen planet, because the frozen planet I know has got radon in it for gas. I don't know if it's got oxygen in it though. Radioactive and frozen atmosphere. Yeah, I don't think I think oxygen is in frozen atmosphere. This game creator, but a lot of people put a lot of work into putting this stuff down here. I mean, a lot of stuff. Maybe there's oxygen on every... I don't see how there could be oxygen on every planet. It doesn't make sense. I just don't know. Oh, God. Which is a good thing, I guess. You know, when I go out and explore and find some of that stuff out, and I don't mind doing that. That's part of the game. You know, there's no really spoiler there. But, so I was thinking of building the permanent farm on a frost planet. The sulfurine... Wait. Okay, radon. So I was looking at radon. Sulfurine can be made from nitrogen. The nitrogen can be made from... No, wait, that's not the way I did this. Radon is in the air on the frost planet. So it makes the nitrogen for the ammonia. That was one of the products I needed to get to actually build the harvesters and stuff. I can use nitrogen and radon. So it's radon, nitrogen, which is free. The dihydrogen I can get from the tritium. The tritium I can buy. But what if the planet runs out? You know. So I mean, I can collect enough stuff to build the harvester. So I get my harvester, and I get my nitrogen to make the ammonia. I thought there was another way to get... I mean, there's tons and tons of asteroids out there, but nobody's going to go out there and mine this stuff. Unless if they do it and put it back into the system. Sell it. Wait, if I sold it. If I collected the tritium, turn around and sold it, that would drop the price. See, there's the beginning of this whole thing here. So it's tritium, but anyway, going back to, I was looking at dioxide for something. You can grow okay. There's the sulfurine. Okay, so I know what I was thinking. Let me write this down. Okay, oh my gosh. So another line is radon nitrogen to sulfurine. Wait, I need... Okay, so... Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, I get crap loads. Actually, I get 7,500 units. Let's see here. Because that's not it. 7,500 units, and that uses 5,000 units of carbon. Let's say if I look at, I mean, it collects other stuff besides radon. Actually, it might, maybe you have to select it to one. Let's just assume, let's make an assumption here. Let's go to radon. That's 20 units per unit of radon. Now if I go to carbon, that's 12 units. So I'm burning up 12 units and I'm gaining 20. So that's a net gain of 8 units per process. Or that's a percentage. But depending on, wait just a minute now, hold the fort. Oh god. It uses 3 units of radon to make 1 unit of nitrogen. So I have to divide that. So that's actually 2,500 units of radon per 5,000 units of carbon. Uh, 2,500 units of radon per, so it's using twice as much carbon per each unit of radon. Twice as much carbon. That's for 1 nitrogen. Okay, so 1 nitrogen per unit of carbon. I looked that up, didn't I? Nitrogen is 20. So I'm using 20 units, I'm getting 20 units of nitrogen, and I'm burning up 12 units of carbon. So that's carbon and 20 units of nitrogen. And I've got 2,500 units. Wait, let me think about this. that's a 20, 12 units of carbon. It's a gain of 8. So that means I have a profit of 8 units of nitrogen. It's that percentage. There's a proportion there. So if I divide that by 8, 3 times 8 is 24. So it's a third of that. It's 800. Is that right? It's a third. No, that can't be right. Using 20. I'm making 20. And I've got a profit of 8. So it's 20 over 2500 equals 8 over some number. And that will tell me how many units of nitrogen my profit is per day. But I don't care, or the number that I need. God, I need that number. I think the nitrogen goes into the ammonia, the hydrogen. See, I have to get this from the tritium. That's what the problem is. I'm buying the tritium to make the dihydrogen. So if I buy it with my profit, that's just 5 units of tritium. That's a total of 30 units. So if my profit's 8, and I have to spend another, the hell is it here? Huh? I just had it right there too. Five tritium makes it the hydrogen. Okay, so I make 8 unit profit here, and I'm spending 30 here, so that means I'm spending 22 units. I'm spending 22 units per unit of ammonia. So if I look up ammonia, now I have a profit of 40 units. See, I think you get the most You have to go all the way down to the bottom of the chain in order for the profit to add up. You got to go to the lowest base resource to get your profit. Figure that out. I mean, I know there's going to be a profit here. They did this pretty good. How do they figure all this stuff out? I mean, pretty awesome. So, for every ammonia. Now, the other thing is, if I go to, let's see, sulfurine uses nitrogen. I have a profit of 8 units per nitrogen. So that's, I have to use, if I multiply that by 2, we're talking 16 units. If I look up, that's only 20. I had it right there. It's lost my train of thought. 16 units. Let's see, there's 8. 8 units per nitrogen. So I'm using 24 units of profit. 24 units of profit per 1 unit of sulfurine. So I've got a loss of 4 units. Now I have an expense of 4 units to make sulfurine. But I've got a 40 unit profit on ammonia. So I could make ammonia sell ammonia to, if I sold ammonia for a profit, that would drive the price down. And if I drove the price down so that it's even, when I go back to buy it, I haven't lost any money. And I can sell and buy ammonia for free, as long as it's down to like but there's a margin though. It's a profit margin. It's 20. If I sell, they say to sell all the stuff all at once. You know, this is something else about these gamers. I'm telling you. You can't do that. You can't. If you sell it all at once, it crashes the market. It's like these Ravager people. So you want to sell as much as you can, so that the price when you go to buy it is half of your profit margin. So the profit margin is 40. So you keep selling the product until the price goes down to half of the profit margin, which is 20. So you keep selling that ammonia until the price drops down to 20. Then you buy it all back at once. That drives the price back up. I am not a financial wizard, and I just figured this out on my own because I don't want to be, I don't know what I'm doing. But I think that's going to work that way. And in fact, I'm going to use this as a basis. So I've calculated a profit margin on ammonia of 40 units per 1 unit of ammonia. Sell ammonia to drive buy cost down to 1/2 the profit margin. Now that puts it at a buy price of 20 units per unit of ammonia. So I can keep buying. So the next time, let's say the price. So now let's say I buy, I don't know how many units. Let's say if I buy all of the units back at 20 units per ammonia, I'm not going to get the same number of units that I sold. Let's say if I sell 40 units and the price is 60 whatever per unit, then the price goes down, it drops down to 42. Then if I, wait a minute, if I'm trying to think now, if I buy that ammonia, I should be getting free ammonia. But I'm paying, oh, I see what I'm doing. I'm getting the ammonia for 40, no, yeah, 40 units instead of 60. Strange. We should try, maybe I can do this with the nitrogen. I didn't write that down. Yeah, I did. Alright, so if I go back to radon, let's use this one. I get free radon. Actually, as a matter of fact, I wrote down that number. I get 2,500 units of radon. Now I can convert actually it's the oxygen. I get where is it? Or is it nitrogen? Oxygen. 1 unit of oxygen will give me 1 unit of carbon. And I can get that's a problem. the sulfurine is 2,500 units. Plus, you've got to use pyrite to make a cactus flesh. The cactus flesh goes back in to give you 2 pieces of carbon. Okay, so that's an equal trade-off. Three units of nitrogen is going to give me 1 unit of sulfurine. Oh, okay, that's the 2,500 units there, which is half of my amount that I'm using for the carbon. Shit. Well, that's not going to work either. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. One unit of nitrogen, 1 unit of oxygen. That actually gives me 3,750. That's 1 sulfurine. Wait, that's a sulfurine. And I still have to use a pyrite in order to get. So I'm making 2 units of carbon. To get the pyrite, uses two cactus flesh and a salt. I don't know. Well, I've got 1 oxygen. Gets me a carbon. Kelp sacks give me oxygen. Superoxide crystal. What is this guy? Condensed carbon's 3:1. Sodium nitrate plus a kelp sac. Oh, that's plus that. Gets. I don't want that. I don't know what's going on here. One selenium, 1 kelp sac. Huh. What time is it? Oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. I don't want this. I must be missing something. These guys were growing this to make aha, maybe this is what I was thinking. One fungal mold. The fungal mold converts directly, one fungal mold converts directly to 2 carbon. One ammonia, 1 nitrogen. Nitrogen and dihydrogen, that's the tritium again. So I was making 40 profit off that ammonia. One ammonia and 1 nitrogen. Wait a minute. How was I making this? Ammonia plus nitrogen gives me the fungal mold. One fungal mold for every 2 carbon. So, ooh, that could be 1 ammonia. Damn. That uses the nitrogen. That's 30 units. So if I spend 30 units to make a dihydrogen, I have to buy that. So if I buy the tritium, I don't think I can make tritium. So you can't make tritium. But there's other there's other fuel. Frigate fuel. That's frigate fuel. The hydrogen and tritium, huh? Well. Not good. Let's look at, now let's see. Fungal mold. I get free nitrogen. No, I don't get free nitrogen. That cost me $5,000 units of carbon. No, wait. Twice the amount of carbon. So 1 nitrogen cost me 2 carbon. I should write that down. Now, what was the other thing I was looking at? I think this is the same number. I'm basing this on a 10-hour production cycle. So, sulfurine equals 1 nitrogen plus 1 oxygen costs 4 carbon. I can't make the cactus flesh. Let me look at... Oh wait, 1 oxygen makes 1 carbon. One oxygen, but it costs me 1 oxygen costs me 2 carbon. Okay, it makes 1 carbon, but you have to use carbon as a fuel, so it actually costs 2 carbon. So you're actually losing a carbon when you do this conversion. Now this can be grown. One solarium gives me 2 carbon. Oh wait, what was I saying? Yeah, see, that's a 1-to-1 ratio there. I don't know anything about phosphorus yet. Selenium. Let's take a look at that. Let's see. 1 phosphorus here. We buy the chlorine and wait a minute. That's selenium now. What am I doing? I'm trying to make selenium. Why would you want to use 2 selenium to make 1 phosphorus? Huh, that's stupid. Using 2 selenium to make 1 phosphorus here, and back in this process, you're taking 1 selenium plus 2 selenium to make the phosphorus. So you're using a total of 3 selenium to make 2 selenium here. 2 selenium to make 1 selenium there. So the only viable process, the sulfurine, requires 4 carbon units alone. So that's way off. If it's going to cost me 4 carbon units to make alone, to make 1 selenium, and I'm doing 1 selenium to make 2 carbon units, I'm losing 2 carbon units in that process. So I can't use phosphorus. Yeah, wait just a second yet. I'm not 100. I still haven't looked up this ferrite dust. And there's a way to make the dioxide. Oh, let's go look at it. Dioxide uses a carbon already. Chlorine. Ammonia. 2 ammonia to make that. And ammonia costs 1 nitrogen, so that's 2 nitrogen. That's 4 carbon to make 1. I think it's 4 carbon. Damn. 1 nitrogen here, so that's 2 carbon. 2 carbon for 1 ammonia. Four carbon for 1 dioxide. Eight carbon for 1 phosphorus. Where the hell was the dioxide? Eight carbon? What the hell? There's a fungal mold. That doesn't... Oh yeah, oh that makes 2 carbon. Let's look at that process. This might be the one right here. Alright. Fungal mold makes ammonia. One ammonia. One nitrogen is one fungal mold. What the hell is nitrogen? This is where I have to buy that tritium. I wanted to get away from buying anything. Oh, you can make fire dust. I can make ferrite dust from ammonia. Oh, hello, okay. Man, something's not right. There's one nitrogen. What the hell is the ammonia? I lost it now. One ammonia makes one ferrite dust. How do I make the ammonia? Ammonia makes ferrite dust. What the fuck? Where the hell? I don't need ferrite dust. I need ammonia, but okay, there's one nitrogen for one fungal mold. Wait, one nitrogen already cost me 2 carbon. And one fungal mold is equal to 2 carbon. So if I go to the ammonia, and I use nitrogen, I'm going to end up If I didn't have to have this ammonia, I'd be in business. If I bought wait just a minute, hold the fort. Hold the fort. Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Okay, so let's say I have my first part of my farm. It makes ammonia. I'm making a 40 unit profit. Then I go to sell. It. I drive the price down. I make my profit. I would have to take that profit and invest it back into the ammonia product. To keep it simple, stupid. So I would buy all of the ammonia back. Okay. Then I use that money. Now I've bypassed this stage here where I'm making the ammonia with nitrogen and dihydrogen at the beginning. Okay. So first I have to I start small, and I rake up I go hunt for the tritium. Let's say I don't pay no money, I go get the tritium that way. And I'm making my dihydrogen, which is probably easier than looking for it because the tritium is everywhere. I'll just go mine everything with a laser. I don't have a problem with that up to a point. Okay, so I got the dihydrogen. Then I make the ammonia. The hell is it? I have to type it in. Ammonia. And I'm using the carbon. Wait, I'm using... Wait just a minute here. I think my real profit margin is only... Do I have to go back and buy the carbon for the fuel? I think that's what I do. That would drop the profit margin down to half of what it was earlier. I'd have to take the profit margin, use half of it for the fuel, which is the carbon, and half of it for the other. I gotta write that down because I think that's true. So, where's my other page here? Right, so let's say if I have a profit margin of 40 units. 20, wait, no. Yeah, it is 40. It's 40? I don't know what the hell it is. 20 goes to product, which in this case is ammonia. And 20 goes to carbon, which is fuel for refinery. Now, if I'm buying, let's see, if I'm buying carbon, where am I even getting the carbon in the first place? I'm not making carbon. Oh, actually, I am making carbon. I was trying to make carbon from oxygen. If I could make carbon and break even, oxygen to carbon. I can't because it takes 2 units of oxygen for 1 unit of carbon. The whole idea is to create a system where you're not you're not the economy. You're not crashing the economy. And a lot of this stuff is not working, where you can't make a profit. You're spending more than you're getting. It's the fuel. Now, if I have 2 units, no. If I have, no, I'm still, yeah, I could do that. If I had 2, actually if I had 3 oxygen units on one planet, just making the oxygen for the carbon, then I would have a surplus of, wait, that doesn't work. That just does not work. Carbon is a fuel for the refineries, so it's got to be, that's another issue. That's a big issue. Well, there's other things. This one guy in the other game, he's making frost crystals. I mean, you could grow this stuff. But the problem with growing is that you only get, actually with the farm I make 5 million by growing. I think that's what, did I write that down? I think I did. Where did I write that down? I think it's at the beginning here. If I grow star bulbs, it's the star bulbs to make what? It's circuit board and superconductor. I'm going to go back to way back here. Let's see. There's the star bulbs. I figured this out. There's the oxygen. But that's still using the carbon, isn't it? Carbon plus a star bulb refines to 2 carbon. and that's a grown product. So that cuts the amount down. That cuts it in half. If I can use that same product to go back to growing using the carbon. So instead of getting 2.5 million a day, we're talking 1 million a day. 1 million every 10 hours. $1 million a day. $1 million a game day. That's selling the quantum processors. There's a circuit board and semiconductor, paraffinium. That's probably made with this star bulbs. Holy crap, they've got a lot of stuff in here. This is almost a nightmare, figuring this process out. With the salt, I can buy the chlorine. Actually, the chlorine makes the salt, doesn't it? Chlorine's expensive. It's like $367 a unit. That's expensive. That gets me 2 salt. To make a paraffinium. $367 to make 2 star bulbs. Wait a minute, wait just a minute, this can be grown. The star bulb is grown. Why am I talking about making this? The cactus flesh. Oh, that can be grown. Same thing. Okay, so that's the same thing, cactus flesh, and that uses 100. But it's limited, but I gotta have 200. So I'll actually have twice as much cactus flesh. Cactus flesh is a prepared ingredient here. Cactus flesh. Alright, so cactus flesh, and star bulbs. Grown to in a 1, wait, a 2, what the fuck, a 1 to 2 ratio. Shit. 1 to 2 ratio. So for every one of those, I have to make 2 of those, and I get 100 a day. That's just from one plant. One plant yields 100. That's the polyfiber. And the polyfiber is used for the circuit board, plus a heat capacitor. The heat capacitor. Alright, so that's grown. So that's number 1 right there. And the heat capacitor, wait just a second. I'm growing cactus flesh and star bulbs. Well, let's just put that down. That's what needs to be grown. And then the heat capacitor is what? Frost crystals and selenium. That can be grown. So if I can only make 1 million a day, and I'm growing this stuff, see, I thought I was going to make this, but if I made it, wait a minute. $50, so that has to be, what the hell is this? Selenium? That's 50 every 16 hours. This one is 50 every 60 minutes. Oh, hello. I just found something. I think I may have found the solution. The frost crystals grow at a very high rate. They're yielding 100 every 2 hours. So every 5 hours, every 2 hours, so times 10, no, times 5, is 500 units every 10 hours. So if I'm getting 500 frost crystal a day, I can double my output of carbon by feeding carbon into the frost crystal. Alright, so frost crystal grown plus carbon equals 2 carbon. That's very lucrative. That might solve my fuel problem. There's a way to grow carbon right there. I would have to look for this. There's just no way around it. On the selenium, that's grown. And this is for the, I'd say, selenium. And that's grown. Okay. That's the heat capacitor. And the carbon solution. Frost crystal plus a dioxide gives me 2 frost crystals. So 1 dioxide could yield me 4 carbon. Ooh. Let's see. 1 dioxide yields 4 carbon. Now let's go back to the dioxide here. Well, actually, so we got the heat capacitor, and this is the polyfiber, I think. Cactus flesh and star bulb. That's the polyfiber. And both of those go into what? The circuit board. There's the circuit board right there. Now all I have to deal with is I want to look at the dioxide. Ammonia actually creates, oh god, wait just a minute here. Let's look at sodium nitrite. De-established sodium. What is that? Sodium. Marrow bulbs cannot be grown. Those cannot be grown. Sodium is a product that can only be found. That's the sodium nitrate. If it's harvested, that's a limited quantity. If it's bought, that's a limited quantity. So there's got to be another way. I can buy chlorine and I don't think I can make chlorine. Chlorine yields salt. What the hell? Salt is... what the... glass? Chlorine. Why does it say... It's feeding chlorine right back into it again. No matter what I do with that process, chlorine and the kelp sac are just... they're a closed feedback loop. Salt is in everything on the inputs. Although here, wait just a second now. What the hell? God, this is so confusing. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Let's write this one down. Alright, let's see. So we've got dihydrogen, 5 tritium, plus oxygen equals salt, which is 1. This uses 2 carbon. There is another one, which is chlorine plus oxygen two equals chlorine 6. This is 4 carbon. Now, the frost crystal which is 2 plus the salt which is 1 equals 1 dioxide is 1 unit. Now I've got 6 chlorine. 6 chlorine from there. So 1 chlorine is going to give me 2 salt. So if I do this, 6 chlorine is going to give me 12 salt. If I run okay, 12 salt from the 1 chlorine plus the oxygen. Now I've got the frost crystals are grown, I believe. Didn't I write? Yes, those are grown to help make carbon. Okay, the frost crystals are added to the salt. So now I've got, it uses 2 frost crystals. So there's how much a day? Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, this is a lot more confusing than I originally thought it was going to be. I mean, I knew it was going to be, I knew there was something here, but I didn't realize that there's really bad mistakes you can make, and there's very few good proportions. I would not want to help these people with their chemical processes like I did with Take on Mars. Oh my God, this would take me a couple years to do what they've done here. Chlorine plus oxygen. I just had an epiphany. Oh my God. This game has a feature with this economics. I'm saying to myself, there's something wrong with the economic stuff. It does not work. Well, it doesn't. Unless a player like me comes along and throws a little wrench into the curve. Alright, so I've got 12 salt from 4 units of carbon. And I'm getting whatever that amount is per day, but so 4 units of carbon in this process gives me one unit of dioxide. Now let me go back to the dioxide again. We've got ferrite dust yields dioxide. Is that right? No. We're making it. So there's frost crystals plus salt equals dioxide. I already got that. So what am I thinking here? Where does the dioxide go? First of all, dioxide is actually used for oxygen in the life thing for your character. That's better than anything I've it. I mean, it's like that's the stuff to use. Just throw the raw CO2 and let the guy breathe CO2. So that's definitely the best way to make it. So we've got dioxide now. So now I could look down here actually and find out what it's used in. So we've got all of these things here. We've got a cyclotron ballista. Byproducts can be crafted or farmed. 100 dioxide plus chromatic metal. What? The frost crystal can be made with... Oh, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't use that chromatic metal to make frost crystal. That's ridiculous. Because you can't farm the copper. That's just impossible. Oh, you know what? Somebody was talking about indium. Yep. There's something you can grow. This guy right here. There's something you can grow. I don't know, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't know. No, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. What else uses the dioxide? It's not, see, I don't think everything is in here. Ferrite dust. The hydrogen. Automatic mining unit. Uranium. Pure ferrite. Ferrite dust comes from ammonia. I'm getting way out of hand here. So we got the quantum processor, the circuit board. We got that part done. That just uses whatever that is. And then the heat stuff. And then we get the frost crystals. Solaris. I forgot what the hell I was doing here. Frost crystal and solarium. Huh. You just grow that. You grow the star bulbs for the star bulbs and the cactus flesh for the polyfiber. You grow the frost crystal and you grow the frost crystal and the selenium. Those are grown. That's the heat capacitor. So you've got the heat capacitor and the polyfiber for the circuit board all grown right there. Now we've got the superconductor. Fuck, I finally got it figured out. Ah! I gotta go beyond my other computer. Oh, I got this figured out. I got that figured out. So what time is it? You know what? Let's just do that right there. I'm going to take care of that. That. I'm not going to be bothered with that, or that. Or that. Alright, now we're to the superconductor. The superconductor requires a semiconductor. And as a matter of fact, why don't we... Let's just X out all of this other crap here. That took me a while to figure out. And there's something about the nanites. You can grow stuff to farm nanites. I want to get into that. I was talking about that, all that stuff there. Look at all of these. Alright, so we've got semiconductor and enriched carbon. Well, that's the enriched carbon is already made from the frost crystals. Oh, actually it's enriched with radon. So I'm not even worried about that. I'm good to go right there. I don't even have to look at any of this stuff. So we've got enriched carbon for the superconductor already easily made. Now the semiconductor requires demicondensate and nitrogen salt. Now we've got condensed carbon, easy to make, and sulfur marine. Just drop that. And the other component is the nitrogen salt, condensed carbon and nitrogen, easy to make. This stuff is just, I mean, this is it right here. This is the farm. All we have to do now is look at, well, we got the thermal condensate to make. Why aren't I there? I forget what I was doing. Condensed carbon, it's just the sulfur marine is all we have to worry about. That's all we have to worry about now. 3 nitrogen. So that's a total of 6 carbon. If I use nitrogen on oxygen, that's 4 carbon. And I sure as heck am not using chromatic metal to make it. So there we go. We've got the farm. I bought the farm, baby. Oh, yeah. Now I just have to organize all these notes. Alright, so for the super conductor, it's frost crystals, carbon, nitrogen, plus oxygen equals 1 sulfurine. Sulfurine is 1, and then semiconductor is the thermic condensed. God, well, it's all there. Just yeah, I didn't write it down, did I? Because I'm stupid. Superconductor. One semiconductor and enriched carbon is 1. Enriched carbon has radon. I think. Radon and condensed carbon. Actually, that uses a lot. 250 units of radon. Ooh. One enriched carbon uses radon at 250 smackaroosies, and condensed carbon equals 50, which is 150 carbon. And so if this relates to 2,500 per day, that relates to what is this? What am I making? That's enriched carbon. That's 10 enriched carbon per day. So I can make at most, I can make 10 quantum processors per day. That's 50 million. I can make 50 million a day. I figured it out. I can grow everything. And let's see, grow everything. There's an initial investment. You know, there's collecting all kinds of stuff, maybe buying some stuff. I mean, I don't even have to buy anything. I can get the salt. I can get everything. I can collect all the stuff to start. Like, I get the freighter, you know, advance myself, get the freighter, move around, figure out where I'm going to be, and then I'm gonna grab a system. I'm gonna own the whole system, is what I'm gonna do with this multiplayer group, so that I can create the economy in that system. And it's gonna be a Kovax system, because I am developing the Kovax initiative. Har har. And I'm hoping. So, well, actually, let me think about this. So I've got to figure out, like, while I'm in the system growing this stuff and making all kinds of money, I'm not really making money. I've got to figure out, like, I can't sell all of my stuff all at once, because it'll drive the price down or something. I don't know what it does. There's other aspects of the game. There's different kinds of economy. There's your different races. There's factions. There's what else? There's the side missions. There's missions for the armor, the weapons person. Look at this. Like, if we were to look up let's see. This is another thing I wanted to look for. Okay, there's the different. Now my stream's dying again. Okay, these are all the terminals right here. Agricultural, the automatic mining unit, the beacon, the cuboid room. Ooh. So the terminals are weapons terminal, science terminal, the construction terminal where the overseer is, and the galactic trade terminal. These are all part of the quests for. And you gotta have the agriculture terminal and the farmer to grow the stuff and that kind of stuff. That's all figured out. What's this cuboid? Oh, I'm not using that. I don't know what that is. It's something. Magnetized ferrite, 3 microprocessors. Lots easy to make. Agricultural terminal. There's stuff here. There's the frost crystal. So you can grow this stuff. And you can do the little things in the. We could have the little. we could be moving around and stuff with the freighters. We can build better ships. Do some pirating every once in a while. You know, I mean, there's many different fun aspects of the game. So there's the science guy, the weapons guy, armor guy, and the agricultural terminal. And then there's other stuff. There's a landing pad. That's cool. There's a lot of stuff there. This is nice. And it's all done with missions. And then I guess the last thing that I wanted to figure out is this guy, the nanites. So you can farm this stuff. It says nanite cluster. Let me look up nanite cluster. This is all for your upgrades, and we can farm this stuff. I don't know why it says nanite. What's a nanite? Where's the nanites? It just says nanite cluster. Oh, there's platinum. I can mine that platinum. It's 5 platinum per 1. Well, that's not very good. Pugnium, you've got to have 10. Salvage technology. Oh, that's not very good either. That's like 50,000. That's not worth it. Runaway mold. Now what is this? It says it's junk. Living slot. Nanite cluster. Nanite cluster. Ooh, what are we getting into here? My stream doesn't like me tonight. Come on, wake up. Picked up some of those viscous fluids. Ooh, 1 hypnotic eye gives me 50 living slime. Blech. The hell? Oh, there's the residual goo. I've been picking that up on some stuff. Every abandoned building has a terminal stuff interactor as a player to get to almost after that terminal is used. Each terminal will contain up to 200 residual goo. Residual goo can be purchased and sold. For 20 units apiece. I've got a way to buy nanites. Actually, yeah, well, viscous fluids, refined to viscous fluids, huh. One residual goes, one resistive fluid, one resistive fluid is one slime. One slime plus a hypnotic eye reverts to 50. You've got to kill an abyssal horror, which can be found underwater in the ocean. So we could farm these under the ocean to make money for, well, actually, that just adds to the... Wait a minute. Yeah, right here. So if we farmed that stuff in the ocean, we could that would give us a times 50. Where the heck did I see it? A living slime. Hypnotic eye. Oh. Well, that gives 50 living slime. So then we got 50 living slime, and that gives 50 runaway moles, which gives 250 nanite clusters. Holy cow, that's pretty good. So killing one of those guys, one of those things gives 250 nanite clusters. So that's a good way to farm nanite clusters. The abyssal horror. Hardy har har har. I guess. I don't know. I guess that's it. I think that's it. So I'm gonna just kind of mess around with that and try to figure out, like, with the ammonia. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff I can do to figure out the economy, to balance the economy and owner system and stuff like that. I'm gonna take a break, and I'm gonna go in the game, and we are going to continue with our probably questing and that sort of thing.